So Friday the 26th of May, I think, today. And despite what it may look like, we're not in sunny France. We're in sunny Crosscar in County Down in Northern Ireland, and it's beautiful. But it's been quite a momentous week for us, so we decided we'd make a little video to share some of what's going on in our lives at the moment. So tell the lovely people what's happened this week.
Well, I think we should backtrack a little bit. It's actually been quite a momentous 13 weeks, I think it is.
Okay.
Since we sat on that airport in Liverpool on the way back from France in
Recorded our last video.
late February. Recorded our last video, which you may have seen. And since then, things have moved at, how would you describe that pace?
Breakneck speed.
Breakneck speed. Like, you know the way the universe kind of flows you along very gently, and then every now and then, like, whoosh.
You hit the rapids.
You hit the rapids, and suddenly it's very, very, very quick. And finding your own ground and your own centre and staying with yourself when you're in the rapids is quite challenging, actually. And it's been very challenging for both of us in different ways.
So what's happened? Yeah, last video, people will have seen. We were coming back from France.
Yeah.
We were debating about whether to go to France. I was very sure that I wanted to go and live in France. You were undecided.
I was undecided, yeah.
Yeah, and so what's happened this week?
What's happened this week is we're moving to France.
No, we've sold the house.
The house is sold. We are moving to France, not this week, but we are moving.
The house is sold, just like that.
Just like incredibly quickly. First buyers came in, saw the house with me on a Saturday morning, and the following Thursday saw the house with Jenny, and
Started bidding.
and then we sold the house.
Yeah, reached an agreement on Monday, and there's no chain. They've got nothing to sell. Their finances are all in place. I mean, it could not actually be any more perfect at all. But yeah.
It's bittersweet for us because we love this plot of land. I mean, I really do. I'm looking around, and I was kind of almost in my mind saying goodbye to my raspberries yesterday, even though there's another 11 or 12 weeks to go before we actually move. But yeah, there's been a lot of love put into the land here, into the gardens, and we call this place Eden. So it's going to be interesting for us. Part of our process is going to be just to grieve in little ways for what we've created here.
But how did we actually get from Owen not being sure to sitting here today with sale agreed on the house in 13 weeks? How did that happen?
Yeah, I have no idea. Okay, I do.
The big decision.
Well, I suppose the first big decision we made was after that kind of chat in Liverpool was that I began to be very clear, at least around what I didn't want, which is I didn't really want the kind of usual grey, overcast, dull, rainy, wet, cold, dreary Northern Ireland weather. Oh, take a breath now. That's what I didn't want. This is what I wanted, and I wanted more and more and more of that. So sometimes for me it's like, before I actually know what I want, I kind of really have to kind of feel into what I don't want, first of all. And once I've kind of decided, okay, I don't want that, and therefore I'm willing to move, then I think we both began to move into this kind of transition space, because Jenny was very clear from the start that she did want to move to France. So she just had to coerce me. No, not coerce, sorry.
Yeah, well, it was. Well, no, it wasn't coercion.
You know, that subtle feminine, you know, where, yeah.
No, it was basically, you know, we really did, the one thing that we could both agree on, in amongst all the bits that we didn't know, the one thing that we both agreed on was our time in Northern Ireland has come to an end. We're ready to move on from Northern Ireland. Above and beyond that, we couldn't really agree, and we couldn't get any very clear direction or a lot of clarity within ourselves, which is fine, because sometimes, in my experience, sometimes all you need to know is the next step. You know, and I think a lot of the reason that we don't make big changes in our lives, that we don't follow our soul's callings and our soul's whispers,
Do we not?
a lot of people,
All people.
a lot of
Right.
people don't. A lot of the reason that people don't do that is because they can't see the clear path laid out step by step by step. This is how we're going to get from here to there, and that's how it's all going to pan out. So actually, once we let go of that need to know, you know, how it's all going to work, and just said, okay, well, what we do know is we don't want to live here. Well, let's put the house on the market and see what happens.
Yeah.
On the basis that it might take a couple of years, I think was our discussion.
Up to a couple of years.
4 weeks later, we're now. This week has been really interesting because we've been both been not working hard, but we've both been very, very good at actually being completely unattached
Yes.
to when the house sold, the time scale of the whole thing, and deliberately not planning ahead, because there's not really any point, and anybody who's sold a house knows what the process is like. There's not really any point in looking at other houses until you've got your sale agreed. There's not really any point in organising anything. So we were very good in holding that, and then Owen came home on Monday night after a long day's work, came home at 10:30 to be told, by the way, the house has been agreed for sale and we're moving out on the 11th of August. So this week has been a bit of kind of like, okay, we better make some plans now. We'd actually better put together some kind of structure.
Yeah. Well, I think initially what happened was the kind of fear arose, the need to know where we were going, how we would manage the logistics. Are we going to find a house in France before we move from here? Probably not. So are we going to rent somewhere? Maybe we'll just drive around in a mobile home. We explored so many options, and I think that's part of the process, is kind of really going into all the different possibilities. I think for me as well, the big thing that I've realized is that while for some people, not knowing is held with a real kind of a fear and an anxiety, as I began to kind of open into this, and it took about 48 hours to really open into it, it's now really exciting. I have no idea where we're going to end up. Well, it will be France, but that's a big country. So my Duolingo is being used every day. So I know that. But beyond that, and literally we don't know. And to be honest, we don't know whether it'll be this year or early next year, or we don't actually know.
What will be this year?
Well, whether we actually land in a property that we've bought and we've agreed
but
the
we're
sale.
definitely moving this year. We're moving in August.
We're moving from, yes.
Yes, we're moving from, but we're not quite sure where we're moving to.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, from my point of view, like Owen was saying there about the buttons that's pushed from him, if this had happened to Jenny 10 years ago, I mean, I would be in a complete tailspin of stress and anxiety at this point with the not knowing. So, for me, going through this process with you is such testament to the benefits of the work that we both advocate. In terms of staying in the now, being present, working with whatever emotions arising in you, with appreciation and gratitude for where you are now, and meditation, mantra, and all those tools that which we have, which we've acquired over the years, our practices, our daily practices, setting intentions. So our intention is that this move is going to be effortless and easy. And already there's been so many things that have happened this week which are just so incredibly effortless and easy already. It is like the universe is just saying, okay, here, go. So it's that ability to stay in the flow, which I think is so important.
Yeah, I think so. And when the flow gets very strong, when you're in the rapids or just going over the waterfall, which I think we are at the moment, that really challenges your kind of your groundedness, your sense of being centered. So this morning, you don't know this, but as part of my practice, I have different practices. One of them is a standing chi practice. So my standing chi practice was very strong this morning, and I was there for a long period of time holding the position, and my mantra was, I am strong, powerful and focused. And I think that's what I need at this moment, is to be strong, powerful and focused, because there's so much turmoil, there's so much change kind of out there on the surface of my life. If I let myself go out of my centre, out into the surface, it'll feel incredibly shaky. It'll feel very scary. And then what happens for most people is your mind wants to get involved and wants to put structure and order on everything. And once I have it all planned out, then I'll feel safe. But of course then the planning out is a control mechanism. It's basically saying, I'm afraid. And for me, the deeper understanding when you move beyond positive thinking and so on is to actually feel into that and realize I can transform this emotion from fear into kind of excitement. I can transfer the anxiety into kind of openness, adventure, excitement. If you have the ground in yourself to go in there, rather than get your mind involved in how will it work out and having to have everything mapped out, because then there's no spontaneity. And life for me is all about spontaneity and openness, and if you're going to go with the flow, well, don't try and plan, because then you're moving out of the flow. So the flow is going to take us to places that we don't even know. I mean, in ourselves as well as externally. And that's very interesting for us.
Well, but I think there is, there's a, what's that? I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. You just said don't plan. I mean, that was naive to think that you wouldn't have to plan for us to leave here on the 11th of August and arrive somewhere in France. There will be planning involved.
There'll be planning, step-by-step planning.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the kind of planning that says, okay, we're going to be there. and you know we have to have that in place. And like some people wouldn't leave, we'd say, their property until the other property is in place. So that kind of planning where the mind says, okay, now I have that structure and now I can get from A to B. Well, all we're doing is we're getting from A to we don't know. And we're going to plan that section of it. Don't get me wrong. Well, listen, I'm pretty good at planning and organising. But it's like, you know, the difference between kind of control mechanism and actually feeling the excitement of not knowing. That for me is very powerful. And for most of us, you know, human beings, we have a great challenge when it comes to those kind of moves. And part of the trick is just to kind of feel into it and allow the energy kind of to bubble up and see can you move that fear into a bit of excitement.
One of the other things that's been really working for me this week especially is continuing to stay very clear about what I want. You know, so if there's something that's causing me anxiety, like, oh, we don't know where we're going to move to for an interim period before we find our dream house in France, where are we going to live? That was causing me a bit of anxiety, so I just got very clear. Okay, so what I want is to effortlessly and easily find a beautiful place for the two of us and the two dogs to land that's going to cause the least upheaval for all of us for that interim period. And we've already had an offer of something that is ridiculously easy for us to do. We haven't decided whether it's the right thing for us, but the offers come in. So it is like seeding, you know, sowing that seed in your mind. What is it that I actually need? What is it that I want in this situation? And then putting that out to the universe and trusting that it's going to materialize and staying very alert.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily that you're out there doing and making things happen, but you're very, very alert and you're taking inspired action. So there's been a lot of inspired action this week. You know, it might be just a little email off to someone that we met 2 months ago in France or whatever. And those little bits of inspired action are sort of reaping benefits at the moment. We're harvesting the rewards of that.
Yeah. I like the way you sometimes put it, is that, you know, all we need to know is the next step, just that one step. And when we take that one step, then the next one will become obvious, and then to keep moving. So that kind of inspired action, you know, is about today and maybe a short-term future. What needs to happen now? We'd say in the next 7 days, okay, let's do that. And then based on that, what needs to happen then? Yeah. And that's a way of working with, rather than, as I said before, trying to overplan and put structure on everything. Because things change, as we know, like hugely. So why bother planning for 13 weeks' time today if you don't need to? Now, if you need to, fine. But if you don't need to, just maybe trust the universe, trust your own instinct, as Jenny said, put out the seeds and believe it's all possible. That easy and effortless is possible. Because I think, for me anyway, that's a little bit of a challenge when you're moving house, to really let that kind of sink in. This could be easy and effortless.
And great fun.
And joyful.
Yeah.
And great fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? You know?
Well, so that's the update on the 26th of May. God knows what the next update will be about. But subscribe to this playlist here and you'll get a notification out when the next video is uploaded, and we'll keep you up to date with our adventures in consciousness. Whoa.
Yes. While swimming frantically downstream.
No, not frantically. Relax.
Floating on my back,
backs,
Lilo, yes. Sunglasses on.
Letting the flow take us.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so hopefully you can find a way of going with the flow a little bit more in your life, and you'll take something out of this chat to inspire you to do that.
Yeah, and to trust it.
And to trust.
To really trust. That current that kind of is carrying us all anyway. Like just to, do you know what? It's such an easy thing in your body, in your energetic system, to allow that support. You know, and again, anybody who's kind of worked with me knows that that's one of my key phrases. You know, can you allow some support? Because it's been a big challenge to me and my masculine energy to allow this wonderful woman to support me. Now I take it for granted, like, you know, it's fantastic.
For granted, I'm not sure that's fantastic.
The wrong words. I said the wrong words again.
Okay, we better go. Thanks
Ciao.
for watching. See you soon.
Bye.